Welcome back to the Motherhood Collective Co.
Welcome. I feel like we're having a sleepover eating cookie dough.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's just so nostalgic to me. I feel like that's like what you do when you're like having a sleepover with your friends.
We didn't have time to make the cookies, so.
That's how you know your best friends. I just come over and I'm like, so, do you have any cookies?
What snacks are we eating today? I've been sick, like back to back to back. So sorry.
Yeah, we're like, should we open up and apologize again, or should we just pretend like that didn't happen?
Oh my
Our
gosh.
2-week hiatus.
Yeah.
Unannounced.
It's like, I don't know what kind of lab-made virus snuck up into my body, but it was bad.
Yeah. Awful. And on a brighter note, though, we did have a book club meeting. Was that our second meeting?
It was, yeah.
And that was so fun.
It was so fun. I think we've got a really good group of women.
Uh-huh.
And we have like lots of different perspectives. It's not just like all cookie cutter moms. Like we're not all stay-at-home moms with the same viewpoints.
Yeah.
So the conversations are super interesting because it's not just everybody agreeing with each other.
Yeah.
Which is like fun.
I think so too. I love that. And then we had a play date this week, and we're going to try to have play dates like regularly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you still like want to join our book club, we could probably take you one or two people, but I don't know. It's really fun. It's going to, I think it's going to be like a growing community more than just like books. So
I think so too. And I also think like there's always like some people who can't come. So we capped it at a number because that's what we thought our houses could hold. But I think we could take more because somebody's always going to not be able to come.
Yeah.
That's just life.
Yeah. We did decide we didn't necessarily like want everyone bringing their kids. Because we want it to be like I don't know. It's like an awkward thing because it's like, obviously we love people's babies. That's why we're like even have this podcast. But something that Amanda and I really value that I don't think a lot of moms do, and I don't know, maybe you guys can let us know. Like, I really value friendship. Yeah. And just like pursuing one-on-one time with my friends, my girlfriends, like without kids around sometimes too.
Well, every time we hang out with our kids, we never get to actually have a conversation. Yeah. I feel like the only time we get real conversations, well, not only time, but usually it's like here, here.
When you don't have your kids, like, because your kids like just, they interrupt like 1,000 conversations. And then
I feel like especially Sunny and Noah, because they love to talk. Both of them love to talk. So they're like, I've got this story to tell you. Or
and then like Sunny's so excited about you and Noah's so excited about me. So then they're also just like, but Jess, but Amanda, you know, and it's like, they're so cute. You want to listen to them. And I feel like play dates are so fun for like those kind of memories and like doing life together and like your kids, like genuinely just loving your friends' kids. I think that's really special. But then I also think it's like so special to just sit down with a mom and like talk and like remember what that is like.
It's going to be interesting when they're older. I mean, we'll have other babies, but like maybe just when Sunny and Noah are older and they can like take more of an active role in helping with their little brothers and sisters. Like, okay, you guys go outside and play. Maybe play dates will be.
Maybe. I know.
We'll have little chaperones.
I know. We're probably getting a trampoline at our house too. And I was like, I just feel like that is like the master entertainer.
It is. Noah will love it. Susan has a trampoline and Ingrid a trampoline.
I know. She was saying that.
That's what they love to do.
Anyways, we had our book club. That was great. We had a book club play date. That was fun. And transparently, I don't really know where we're at with like events as far as like.
Well, we're heading into summer. It's busy. Yeah. Summer is not the time, I feel like.
Like, if you have feedback for us about what would be helpful, what you'd like that to look like, please let us know. Because I think right now, Amanda and I are really just like in pursuit of solid, consistent community. Wouldn't you say? Like, we're trying to build something that isn't just like coming and going. Like, sometimes it's like people that are showing up consistently and we actually get to like make good friends. So I don't know, events are fun for their time and their season, but I think we're just trying to figure out what that looks like, right?
Yeah. And coming into summer with 2 babies, and I have 2 summer birthdays. My babies are summer babies, so those are like those boxes in my doorway. It's all decorations for the birthday party.
It's so fun.
So I don't know. We are going to do a Q&A today.
Yeah, I did post, like, what do you guys want us to talk about? And then we were just going to pick one topic. And maybe we'll split this up, like, depending on how like, we want to do all of your questions, like, a service for sure. But there's a lot of questions. So maybe we could just, like, jump through those.
Yeah, I think so too. And then you guys let us know, like if we're talking about something and you're like, ooh, I really want to deep dive into that.
Yeah.
Just reach out to us because we love ideas. We want to know what you guys want to hear.
Right. Yeah.
And we can do like a whole episode
Yes.
on one topic.
Right.
And we would love to do that for you guys. Is that off? Great. That's great. Pause. Why is that off?
Good notice.
Well, if you're watching YouTube, I have no idea where that cut off. I'll find out when I go to edit. Yeah. So sorry, you just missed an intro and there wasn't anything super necessary to hear. So jeez, I hope that the camera stays on. So we did say we were doing a Q&A. So let's get started.
Your hat is cute.
Thanks.
Is that the same one you were wearing this morning? I didn't see that it said mama. It's cute.
It's from Hobby Lobby. All my hats are always from
I
Hobby
know.
Lobby.
That beanie you had that one time, I was like, stop, that for
all
sure is free people.
Our Hobby Lobby, all my hats are Hobby Lobby because they don't cost much money. And like, I don't want to spend a lot of money on something I'm wearing to hide like dirty hair.
I know, right? They always get like all sweaty. My head gets so itchy by the end of the day.
Yeah. Okay, let's just jump in. Starting solid foods, how often, what type of food? That is a very loaded question. There's so many different ways you can start solids. Many different ways you can start solids. With Noah, we did baby-led weaning. Noah was just this gigantic child. At 4 months old, he was 18 pounds. Okay, like huge. I need to look out his stats for when he was a year, but I know he was like, he looked like he could have been 18 months, or sometimes he got mistaken for a 2-year-old. So he was huge and ready to go, and he sat up. He was strong. So we did baby-led weaning, and we had a book for that. You can do like the Solid Starts app if you're going to go that route. And baby-led weaning, like the whole premise of it is get them exposed to as many different things as possible. And it's real food. It's not a puree. It's a bunch of different textures, because a big concept in baby-led weaning is you're not just giving them one texture of food, the purees, obviously.
Yeah.
And it gets their palate like a little bit more diversified, and it can be great for a lot of babies. Noah, once I introduced solid food to him, started getting eczema really bad on his legs, really, really bad inflamed eczema on his legs. And I, went through all the things of like eliminating things from my diet, or maybe he had things in his diet, and it was really just, he was a C-section baby, and he had,
which is also, can I just pause and say it's such a myth that like if you're nursing, what you're consuming is causing reactions in your baby.
Yeah.
So if that's happening to you and you feel stressed, please just like take
Calm
a deep
down,
breath.
yeah.
Don't cut out all the things in the whole world. Like a lot of times they just need a little bit of adjustment period of time, or they need their gut, like if they're a C-section baby and they need their guts to be healed. But I feel like moms get so like nervous, unless you're seeing like straight up red blood streaks in their poop.
Yeah.
That might be a milk protein allergy. And then you can maybe consider like a true allergy or even temporary allergy. But until then, I just wouldn't stress it.
No, you need to understand that when your food is in your digestive system, your body pulls all the nutrients out of your digestive system into your blood, and your breast milk is made from blood.
Blood, yes.
Yes. It's pulling specific nutrients out of blood. Right. It's not pulling like, I don't know. It's usually not from your breast milk. But this time we did, and I've talked to so many people about this. We did GAPS protocol, kind of. I didn't like do it by the book. I paid for Wild Nutritionist is her name on Instagram. I think she's great. It's like a big thing about just introducing solids to your baby very slow. So it's the total opposite of what I did with Noah. For like the first 2 months of Lily's eating journey, she just had meat stock, which I think in her program it's only like 1 to 2 weeks. But I had a lot of anxiety this time around feeding Lily, like a lot of anxiety. I just introduced grains to her, so she has officially like been introduced to everything except for like a lot of acidic fruits. But I think that the GAPS protocol is great, especially for healing a gut, because babies' guts go through so much. If you had a C-section, if you had an epidural, if you had to have antibiotics during your pregnancy or after, because birth sometimes, most of the time, ends up with one of those things, if not all of them.
And we've talked about like the yeast overgrowth in our milk supply because of C-sections, and when you're cut open and then your body overproduces yeast, and also in tandem with like not getting all of the vaginal microbiome that they get when they like come out of the vaginal canal. So if they're a C-section, they're not getting all of that, you know?
So it's just really great to heal your baby's gut. And with the GAPS protocol, I think it's like a $99 course. It's the baby's first food course. And I think it's really great, easy to follow. She teaches you how to make meat stock. Basically all I did though, because I couldn't find feet anywhere, because you're trying to make it gelatinous, because that's where you get all the collagen and all the stuff. I just got a whole chicken and I kind of cut it apart and then I boiled it. It was super easy. Boil it for like an hour and a half and then you put it in the fridge, the stock after that. But then she like has you introduce dairy by like taking a nice yogurt, either you make yourself or you get from the store, and you just collect the whey from it, and you put a couple of drops of whey into the meat stock. So it's like seriously super gentle way to introduce food to your baby. I loved it. And Lily does not have any eczema when she literally had verbatim the same birth as my son. So I really think it's great. But you also don't have to do that. I did that, but I didn't like follow it by the book, because I feel like sometimes I get into something and I have to do it so perfect, or I feel like a failure. But I was getting so caught up and having such bad anxiety if I would like veer off of it, that I'm like, okay, stop. I've already introduced this to Lily before. Like, you know what I mean? Like she's not going to be hurt. She's going to be okay. And she hasn't had any issues. So I would just say, your baby. A protocol is a protocol, but your baby doesn't always fit inside of a box. So, if your baby seems really ready and really interested, great. Lily was not super interested in food until she was like 10 months old. So she mostly had milk, and I let her taste stuff until then. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So there's not like one answer, which kind of sucks.
It is so like variable by the baby. And I don't remember giving it a second thought with Sunny.
I know, me neither.
I remember like, I really didn't know much at all. And I knew I didn't want to do baby-led weaning because that stressed me the heck out. And I was like,
there's a lot of choking.
I was like, choking is like one of my biggest things. If you know me, I own like 4 of those life hacks. Like I'm just like not about the choking. And I was like, she will learn how to eat eventually. And sure enough, she's 3.5. Yeah. She eats a whole apple at a time, like carrot sticks, whatever. But with Ledger, I felt really paralyzed by my knowledge. And I think that that's why, like, I don't know. I love the pursuit of knowledge, and I think that it's so beneficial. But then also, like, for me at least, it can become very paralyzing. Mm-hmm. And if I know too much, I almost don't want to act because I want to do it so well that it just kind of prolongs me even starting it. So I started like, I knew I kind of wanted to do something like that, but then also like the thought of boiling the chicken and all that stuff, I'm like, oh, I think I'd have kind of a hard time with that.
And Chase do it.
Maybe, like maybe he could do it. I don't know. And yeah, Ledger does have really bad eczema. And so I think that has been, it's just been stressful. But I also feel like I might have had a little bit of like, I don't know, like some gut instincts of like, because he ended up having like a super weird reaction
to a carrot,
that I like made in a pot roast. And we were like strapping him up, putting him in the car, because I was like, this looks like an anaphylactic reaction. Like nothing happens that quickly that I'm aware of. Yeah. Unless it's like an anaphylactic reaction. I've seen prolonged reactions. I've seen topical reactions. I've seen, and this just didn't feel right to me, especially when his lips started getting really bright red. And we put him in the car and started driving. We live pretty far from medical care, which I didn't realize till that moment. And that kind of stressed me out a little bit.
What's the closest? How long was it for the closest?
We didn't end up making it all the way to the hospital because it ended up getting better. But our closest children's would be the Highlands Ranch one, which is probably like 30.
Have anything? They're really good.
It's not a children's hospital, but yeah, I guess you could, like, for something like anaphylaxis, obviously they could handle that. But like when we had her appendicitis scare, we were on our way to the children's urgent care at Parker Adventist, and then I was like, this is for sure like an ER triage, like we just should go straight to the ER in Highlands Ranch. So anyways, at our old house, that Highlands Ranch ER was like a 14-minute drive, maybe. Now it's probably like 35 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. To that same
hospital. So you might be using ambulance.
Yeah. So that was just a little bit freaky. And I don't own Benadryl or anything. So I'm like, I need to just kind of, so I don't know. I'm like kind of putting it out of my mind right now. And I didn't really like what the pediatrician said to me about it either.
I don't either.
And she wasn't who we typically see, so that's important to note. But like she just said,
and she said a couple of other things that make me seem like she's an alarmist.
She did. Yeah, she kind of, I left that meeting just feeling really freaked out a little bit about like, okay, so he's not gaining enough weight and now he needs to come back for weight checks and he might need to go to occupational therapy for his, like he has a pretty bad fear of water, which like is justified. He got pretty, anyways. Anyways, all of that to say, I just feel like listen to your gut and do what feels good for you. Don't feel like you have to follow a trend because you hear about it all the time. Like if you're mashing up avocado and you're, all that, the biggest advice I have is food before one is just for fun.
Yes.
So let it be fun.
It's fun. So when you sit down to eat, let your baby try something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you're worried about introducing things, then because you like have a family history of allergens or whatever, then just like maybe one thing a week if you want to start slow, or do whatever. I mean, literally do whatever you want.
Yeah. And I will say too, like there was a nurse who messaged me and she said she's in charge of like triaging a lot of kids. And she was saying that like a true food allergy will a lot of times be like multi symptoms, like so you're not just gonna see a rash, you're gonna see like a rash and respiratory distress, or you're gonna see vomiting and diarrhea, or you're gonna see vomiting and a rash. Like she said it's almost always in tandem, two different things. So that kind of helped me out too, because I didn't notice anything else other than that. So
and also like if you want to do purees, do purees.
Totally. Serenity is a great brand for purees.
Yeah, we love those.
If you don't want to make your own.
Lily did a bunch of those, and I made my own with Noah because we did like a mix of baby-led weaning and purees. And with Lily, it's just kind of literally whatever I'm eating, I just break her up. Once they get the pincher grasp, like you notice, it's usually around 8 months. They start like picking things up with their first two fingers. That's when you need to make their food pea-sized, like or smaller. But other than that, that's like really the only rule. And food before one is just for fun. They're mostly getting milk or formula, whatever you're doing. And after one, I feel like it's just they have teeth. It's less stressful.
I know.
So it's okay.
I know,
don't stress out about it.
Yeah.
You don't have to introduce food if you don't want.
I know. It's true.
Okay. Tools and meds used with sick kids, the crunchy kind. I'm a huge fan of homeopathy. We use homeopathy for everything. Brady and I both do. Like Camellia is a really good brand for babies. Like
it's all over Sprouts too.
And Highlands, they have little tablets.
We use their teething, their oral pain teething tablets. Yeah,
for your little ones. So as they get older, Noah, if he has like anything respiratory, we do Chestal honey, which you can get at natural grocers. We do a lot of throat coat tea.
A lot of teas.
And a lot of warm things. Like in Chinese medicine, whenever your body needs to heal from something, you only put warm in. So nothing cold. So lots of soups. I do homemade soup with homemade stock whenever, because that's just like, how can you get as much nutrients into your child as possible? We also do electrolyte popsicles. So we use Element. That's like their little electrolyte powder. There's also like at Sprouts and Ultima brand, but I have popsicle molds and we make a little, we're talking about putting hot things in your body, but if there's like a sore throat,
and you can do like magnesium salt baths. Like you can, there's like a lot of different detox baths that we'll do. I'll just like multiple times a day. I'm like huge into oils, especially for like respiratory stuff. It has helped Sunny's croup so much. Like
eucalyptus,
like oregano oil. Oregano oil is so good for like healing anything. Tea tree is great for like anything antibacterial, antifungal, anti like everything. I put tea tree on every single wound and like something that might be an infection. And like I just rub so many oils on her chest when she has respiratory stuff. And then with Ledger, like you can put I'm a huge proponent of onions in the socks. Onions or garlic. Yeah. Like I do onion socks or garlic socks. And I think I told this story on here one time before, but like one time we thought Sunny was getting sick. So I use garlic and onion preemptively. So like if I even think they might be getting sick, I put it in their sock overnight, either crushed garlic or a sliced up onion. And it really draws out toxins. People will tell you this is so woo woo. I don't care because it works. Like it works. Draws toxins out of their body, and I have watched them like have respiratory issues do that overnight, and like you can hear them breathing better. And then like what we did last time for Sunny when she had croup is we slept with all the windows open, and this only works if like it drops temps wherever you live, but we opened all the windows overnight, and the cool air like soothed her vocal cords to the point where they didn't swell and she didn't get croup, and that was like miraculous. Turned off the heat. We were sleeping in like 45-degree weather. It was like we were camping. But
Zarbee's has a really good chest rub that is just like beeswax and eucalyptus oil, and I put that on the feet and the belly of my babies when they're sick. And also like just sucking their snot out of their face. Like we have like the one with the mouth I really love. We have the electric Frida baby, but that one's like okay if I'm like downstairs and like, okay, there's a booger running down her face, just get it. But if I'm trying to actually get something, I'm using the Frida baby nose sucker, the one with your mouth. Trying to think of what else we do. I don't use diffusers in my house, not because I don't like them, it's because I'm too lazy to take care of them. So whenever we have anything respiratory going on, we just put eucalyptus oil on a tissue and put it on our nightstand, and it works the exact same. It's just fine. The scent will clear everything out. I'm trying to think. We just went through this. For anything ear, garlic oil in the ear. I was using, because I didn't have an ear infection. I just had like a lot of ear pain. So I think I had a lot of fluid. So I was using garlic oil and tea tree on a cotton ball, and I would sleep with that in my ear.
I've cured so many ear infections, only in my dogs because my kids haven't gotten them yet, but like with tea tree oil and garlic oil and honey. Also, I feel like we use honey. Like if anybody is sick, we're just like spooning honey into their mouth. Like yes, in teas, but also just like, I don't know. It's just so healing. Did I tell you that? You know how I told you how my C-section was like, had a weird thing that was opening on, and then even more recently I got laser hair removal and it busted back open. I put honey on it for 3 days and the amount of things I've tried that have not worked and I was like, you know what, honey, like why haven't I tried like there's these things we have in our house that we're like, this is multi-purpose, we use this for everything. They're like coconut oil, honey, tea tree oil, like we have our little, and it closed in 48 hours completely.
So interesting. Have you ever heard of Meta Honey? Is it Meta Honey?
Yeah.
I used to use that on cracked nipples when I had bad problems with vanilla. So that's great. I think that's
that's a good start.
Yeah, that is definitely.
If you have a Sprouts near you and you can go and look down there, homeopathy. I mean, it's so you will not find what you need.
And if you have older kids, Brady and I recently got a Navage. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's like instead of a neti pot, it's electric. So you put it and it goes in both nostrils and it power squirts water through your sinuses. Because I've had this sinus. I do
love the neti pot.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing, but it's just like you just hold it there and it kind of does it a little bit more for you. And you put, it's like got like salt pots that go into it.
Yeah. And I don't love watching these videos of small children being leaned over a sink, being forced the saline up their nose. No. There's no way they are not inhaling that. And I don't think they don't have the cognitive capacity to be like, breathe through your mouth. Now hold your breath. Now, like,
that's like a 12-year-old kid able to do that. Maybe.
Like it freaks me out. Yeah. And it's like way too common.
Yeah.
And
I don't do any. We have like little saline drops like by Little Remedies, but I don't use those because like that's just,
you don't love it.
I don't love it either. Anything else? Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there is, but that was a lot.
That was a lot. And we are at 23 minutes. We're doing baby kid chiropractor. Yes. Your brain talks to your body. It controls all of your organs, all of your tissues, all of your muscles. It controls literally everything in your body, and it does it through your spinal nerves. Your spinal nerves exit your spine at every level, and the weight of a dime, 8 micrograms, the weight of a dime is enough pressure on a nerve to decrease its function by 90%. So I want you to let that sink in. If your brain needs to talk to your child's liver, which detoxes their entire body, and it does it through a nerve, and the weight of a dime is enough to decrease the function of that nerve by 90%, and the nerve that is controlling that is coming out between 2 vertebrae, and that vertebra is misaligned. I just want you to put those 2 things together. My first thing that we do for anything, and I should have mentioned that with sick kids, if they're sick, if there's anything respiratory, if there's anything functional going on, headaches, detox problems, it's always get adjusted first line of defense. And we usually don't have to go past that unless it's like a serious virus. Yes. I mean, you have to find somebody that knows what they're doing. Find a Gonstead chiropractor, Gonstead, or go into ICPA. That's the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association. ICPA, the number 4 kids.org. You can go into there, find a chiropractor, put in your zip code, and you can see the courses that chiropractors near you have taken for children. So if they're not Gonstead, I would just be making sure they've actually taken courses on how to treat children. To adjust a baby, it's like using the amount of pressure you use to like check the ripeness of an avocado. So it's like you're not taking your baby in to get cracked and popped. As they get older, it's a little bit more pressure, still not a lot. There's no like, there shouldn't be any like rotating or pain. It might be, something might be tender if they've got something serious going on. But it should be gentle. You should not be. And children, my husband, this is like his biggest stressor. Children cry when they go to the chiropractor because some weird man is touching them. That's going to be okay.
I need Brady to adjust me before I leave.
Yes, we can.
Will he be back?
Yeah, he'll be back. He should be back.
Okay.
I hope so. If not, you live 5 minutes on the street, so we'll get that taken care of. But I really think, and kids are so much easier than adults because adults have like a bias. Kids, it either works or it doesn't. They don't have a bias. And they don't have like a lot of external factors, where adults, we have a hard time because we'll say, we'll be adjusting you. And the reason you got in this situation is because you've been sitting at a desk for 10 hours a day for the last 30 years, but you're going to have to continue to do that. You know what I mean? Kids are just very natural. They have very natural ways of like bending down to pick something up. They're doing it in the correct innate way. So like with kids, you're not going in and signing these huge care plans. My husband usually just adjusts kids as they need it. He might sell like a 10 pack just so they can come in and they don't have to worry about paying at the front desk. So here's a 10 pack of adjustments, come in when they need it, whatever. But I would definitely say your kids need to be checked by neurological chiropractor because it is instilled in me that is so important. Anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I am not the chiropractor here.
Weaning a toddler. You actually weaned. I didn't wean. Noah weaned himself, so you can take that.
Yeah, okay. It was like truly one of the worst things ever because I don't think her or I were ready for it. And I've said this so many times on here, but I was just nervous to get pregnant again while I was nursing her. Yeah. I wanted my body to have like ample opportunity to carry a pregnancy to term. And I just felt like that needed to happen. And I kept telling myself it's more important for Sunny to have a sibling than it is for me to continue to nurse her. And we had the sweetest nursing journey. So sweet. I am so grateful for it. But on her second birthday, I decided, because I'm such like I don't know what the word is, but I love just like symmetry in my life. And on her second birthday, I just love the idea of being done like that day. But we just like made it very special. And we went out to our garden and we picked a bunch of flowers and we had a milk bath upstairs and blasted worship music through the flowers in there. And we just sat there for an hour and a half and I let her nurse as long as she wanted. And then she said she was all done and we both cried and we snuggled all night. And the next morning it was just all done. And I almost felt better about cutting cold turkey. People say like, oh, it's so cruel, blah, blah, blah. I think what's cruel is like the confusion of like, yeah, sometimes it's okay, but also not all the time, especially if you're coming from a place of offering it all of the time. So my kids don't feed on schedule. They feed whenever they want and overnight and however long they want to, essentially. And so we had night weaned her a couple months before that, but I didn't like the idea of being like, well, maybe I could still nurse her before bed.
Yeah.
Because it's like, no, every time she asked for her whole life, it was okay. And I'd rather just stay consistent and be like, the milk's all gone. I'm sorry. It's all gone. I'm sorry, and offer like another. And that is where we birthed the idea. And this is what I would say is like, when you're taking something away in any capacity, whether it's a bad habit or something like a pacifier, when you're taking something away from your child, try to offer something else in return, in exchange, and like make it tangible for them. And what we decided to do is we have one of those like espresso machines that froths milk and it's like all fancy and fun. And Sunny loves playing with it. So we just started the tradition of special milk. And because breast milk is so sweet, a lot of kids will try to transition to whole milk and they'll hate it.
Yeah.
And it's because like breast milk tastes in my husband's words, like a melted popsicle or a melted ice cream. That's what he said. Melted ice cream. So then going from that to whole milk, it's going to be like, ew, I hate this.
Yeah, that's gross.
So we added honey to her milk for probably 3 months. We gave her honey in her milk and we would make it together every night. She would ask for milk from my breast and I'd be like, no, but we can go make special milk together. And we would, have this tradition. And even still, she is almost 4 now at this point. She's 3.5. And every night we go make special milk together. We don't put honey in it anymore, but it's just really sweet and fun. And I don't regret what I did. I feel like my body needed like a little bit of a 6-week break and then we got pregnant with Ledger and now we're starting all over. Yeah. We'll see what he does.
If you haven't night weaned, I would just start there first though. And your husband has to do that.
And we've talked about that a lot on here.
Yes, you can go back to like our bed sharing episode. Yeah. But definitely night wean first. a few months before you plan on weaning. And then
because otherwise that is like you're going to be dealing with the daytime fussiness, and overnight you're going to be dealing with all of the restless sleep if they're used to getting milk overnight as well. Not fun. And if you have pumped, like, first of all, congrats, you can use that in a bottle for however long you want to after you wean. But Noah just weaned himself, but I will say Noah is very busy. He was not like I want to sit and cuddle and read a book. He was like, let's go. Oh, we were Sunny hitting like lay on the boob as long as she wanted to. 2-3 parks a day when he was 2 years old. Like when we were, and I didn't even think I was weaning. It was just like we were being busy because he's a boy and he's 2 and he's being crazy. But that's how it happened because he was so busy. He's like snack. You know what I mean? Yeah. He just transitioned to only wanting food during the day. Yeah. And we were only feeding him to sleep. So instead, one night I gave him a banana, and that kind of became our thing. Was like a bedtime snack, and then we'll brush your teeth and I'll rock you to sleep. So. And he still does that. He needs a bedtime snack. Yeah. And it's hard. I won't sugarcoat it. If one or both of you is not ready, it's going to be a hard transition for sure. But I don't know. Even as a mom, just look ahead to like what's next. Like why are you excited to wean? Like are you excited to be able to, maybe work out at a different intensity? Are you excited to maybe prep your body for your next pregnancy? Whatever it is, like try to stay focused on that. For me, I'm somebody that like always looks back and has these like weird regrets and like wonders if I made the right choice. Yeah. So just try to like stay confident in your decision. And yeah, I think that's great. Okay. How to airline travel with a toddler, solo travel. I've done this a lot and it's not easy. I think it's super easy with a baby to travel by yourself with a baby with a toddler. If you have a baby that is like under 6 months old, you need to go to do everything that you possibly can on an airplane. Like we flew with Sunny during COVID to Hawaii and she was 6 months old, and we had prepped all of these. So this is one of my little like tips. If you're anxious about what other people are going to think or feel, like if you're worried your baby's going to be fussy, if like we made these little sandwich bags full of candy and treats and snacks, and we probably made like 10 of them. And I wrote a little note in each one that was like, this is, and I think it rhymed. It was some kind of cute poem about it being Sunny's first flight. Like, please bear with us. Like we're doing our best and we're really grateful that you're like, hand them out. That's cute. Yeah. And so we gave them to like everybody around us. And I just started off the trip because I was nervous. She was my first baby. It was a 6.5 hour flight. Like I didn't know what to expect. Was she going to scream the whole time? Were people going to hate me? Like, it made me immediately feel just like at peace. Everybody was so sweet and so like calm about it. And she did great. And like by the time we got off the plane, even the flight crew was like, she did so good. And they were like, we feel like we should be giving you treats. Like it, but I would say like, if you're nervous about that, that's something to consider. Yeah. And if you're nervous about germs, which is something I get really nervous about when I'm flying, is I bring my kids' car seats on the plane because your kid is used to like, if they're in their car seat, they're like, I am not allowed to get up. This is where I am. They don't sit. They're not like jumping all over the place, crawling on the floor. They're like, this is where I'm sitting. So car seats on the plane, I wipe down the entire row and anything that could be touched with like alcohol wipes, hand sanitizer wipes. And then we have a fun backpack of like full of all these new treats, snacks, and toys from like dollar store, like cheap stuff that you don't care if it gets lost. Because, they need something new and fun. And on this last flight to Florida, we also actually rented an iPad. Yeah. You can rent one from your library. Books. And they can like read you like the Hungry Cow. Like it's not like they're playing these like mindless, senseless games. There's educational content on there. We bought, because flying with Noah had been on like 10 flights by the time he was 6 months old. Like it was insane because I live far away from my family and I had postpartum depression and I went home a lot. And then as he got older, we just kind of adapted, and we have a really easy time flying with him, and he's very busy. So when he was little and he was just an infant, like a lap infant, it was just games. He was playing with monster trucks, but we were wiping things down like the same way. But like he was just playing on everything, talking to people. As he got a little bit older, like 2, 3, we were paying for his seat. So we were bringing his car seat. We got a dolly. You need to get one of those if you don't have one. It's on Amazon, and I think it fits like a Bridax. We have a Nuna, and I just used like it fit fine. Think of like like how your luggage rolls on the ground. You can have an attachment to your stroller, your toddler stroller, your toddler car seat.
Yeah, it's really
nice. You can
nice.
just like drag them along in their car seat.
Buckle them in, take them through the whole airport, and then you get on the plane, you strap your car seat in, you put them in. We, cause I don't know, we didn't start renting tablets from the library for that type of stuff until he was older. So we bought a portable DVD player. Mm-hmm. And every time we go to Goodwill or anywhere, we always buy DVDs. Mm-hmm. So we've got this giant case of DVDs. And mm-hmm. he still has his portable DVD player. Mm-hmm. We love that thing. We take it if we need him to be occupied. And we have headphones, or kid-safe headphones. You can get them at Target, and they have like airplane mode on them so they can kind of block out the noise. So we did portable DVD player, lots of snacks. Mm-hmm. And it's just, honestly, it is a lot of talking to your kid. When Noah and I are about to go on a plane, we're about to go on, this is even when he was 2, when he could barely understand what I was talking about, or a road trip. We'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. And I'll ask him questions like, is a road trip fun? No, mm-hmm. It's not. It's really hard to sit down and to be stuck in one place for that long. But we're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to go to the store. We're going to buy these games. We're going to do whatever. And we're going to try and make it fun. But is it going to be fun? No, it's not very much fun to be. And I have to do that with Noah because he's not a kid that sits still. Mm-hmm. Something my parents did with me when I was a kid was they went to the dollar store and they bought a bunch of stuff. And every 30 minutes, I would get a new toy. A little dollar toy.
I love that.
So I do that too. I'll go to the dollar store and I will buy a bunch of cheap stuff. And every hour, he gets something new mm-hmm. that he can play with. It's like, okay, let's start at the top of the hour. Mm-hmm. Here's something new. We're going to play with it. It's going to be fun. And
yeah. I also feel like setting expectations with your husband mm-hmm. in advance. Like Chase and I are huge on like voicing expectations before mm-hmm. something happens. And so before every trip, we sit down and we're like, what are your expectations for travel day? Mm-hmm. And like most recently when we went to Florida, he was like, okay, let's talk our expectations for traveling when we get there, while we're there, when we're coming, like. And so we sat there and I was like, I think like my expectation would be like, what if you're kind of Sunny's primary parent and I'm Ledger's primary mm-hmm. parent? So that just means like you're assuming all responsibility for that kid until like otherwise voiced. Yeah. So like if obviously I have to be Ledger's primary parent. So yeah. like I'm feeding him, I'm changing him. If he's crying, I'm up and down the aisles with him, rocking, bouncing, whatever. If Sunny needs to pee, that's him. If she needs a different show or a different game or whatever, mm-hmm. that's on him. Because I almost feel like every frustration comes from like a missed expectation mm-hmm. or an unvoiced expectation. And then like when you're going on a trip, if you're going with his family, like what are the expectations for like maybe one night I'm going to stay back with the kids and you can go do this and then we can switch. And, just talking mm-hmm. about that ahead of time, I just think prevents a lot of things. And honestly, the last thing I was thinking while you were talking about the little dolly was like there was a period of time Sunny went through where she didn't like a stroller, but she wasn't old enough for the toddler car seat. And we got one of those hiking backpacks off of Facebook Marketplace. And we specifically got it because we wanted it while we were in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. But she loved to sit in that hiking backpack because they're tall, like they can see everything. They're looking around. And so he would just put her in that and walk through the airport with her in that. And if you have like a baby who loves to be carried in a baby carrier, a lot of times they won't even make you take the baby out while you go through the security.
They'll just swab your hands when you go through.
Yeah. So if you want to keep it super simple and just like not even do the stroller, I would carry a baby, have your husband carry the toddler, either in a hiking backpack or just, in the dolly, whatever. Mm-hmm. To have your kids strapped into something, I think is the biggest hack for not getting like overwhelmed in the airport.
Yes. And you know what? Because Noah went through that same phase, and do you know what we did? He rode on our carry-on. Yeah. I would specifically bring a carry-on. That's fun too. Bring like a t-shirt, and you can put it on your baby and over the bars. So they can't get off.
I almost think there's like attachments now for like a seat that I almost remember, or maybe it's like the suitcase itself has the seat attached.
Oh, I've seen those.
Yeah, it almost has a back and everything. Mm-hmm. So there's options.
Also, like if you're breastfeeding your baby, feed on the way up, feed on the way down, keep their ears open. If you're not breastfeeding a baby, just have snacks at that time if they're older so that their ears can like open up with the pressure.
They will make you take your baby out of the carrier for takeoff, which is like maddening for the mom that just got her baby to sleep in the carrier. Yeah, you're not allowed to keep them in that. It's kind of silly. Like my sister and I were talking, we're like, isn't the baby safer in the carrier versus just like in the open?
I know. Like I just hold them.
I don't get it.
Breastfeeding. Right. What's the difference?
I don't know. I think it's because I don't know.
Also try to schedule like your flights around the times your baby is good because like babies all have, like my babies are super energetic and happy in the mornings. Maybe I want to schedule a flight when they're happy, or maybe I want to schedule during nap time. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe you like want to do a red eye.
Yeah.
Because your baby's going to just sleep overnight, or
let them sleep.
There's international flights. They have those like bassinets that I think are so fun. I don't know that my kids would use them, but.
And you can buy on Amazon too, like they're like little cushions that will turn your airplane seat.
Yeah, like the inflatables, right?
Yeah, into like a bed. So there's lots of things you can do. Good luck. You got it. We can do probably 2 more. Tips for an honest conversation with a friend who's gotten neurotic after a baby, 9 months now. When I read this, the first thing I thought was maybe we should have some grace.
I know. Yeah, that terminology is a little harsh.
Because there could be a lot going on. I have not had anxiety after Lily, except for with her eating, but I had crippling anxiety after Noah. I was terrified of him getting sick. I was terrified of him touching other babies. I didn't leave him, literally did not leave him to go on a date with my husband until he was 18 months old. Like the thought of it would make me hyperventilate and I would cry. So that is, using air quotes, if you're listening to the podcast, I would consider neurotic maybe. But on the back end, I was a sexually abused child and I just had this baby who is literally my lifeline because everything else in my life was depressing. And the thought of anything happening to that baby made me want to die. Like I'm saying that, not using that term lightly. That's real. I had such bad postpartum depression. So for my friends, I didn't know how to talk about that. I was just hoping that they were giving me grace, my friends and family. I don't think I got a lot of grace from some of the people that I was constantly around in my life during that time. And those relationships I don't have anymore.
Yeah. And rightfully so. I just feel like a friend that can't hold you through those seasons is not a friend. And I'm not saying that this is what you're intending at all. But like, I just think like the amount of things that Amanda, like that I've shared with Amanda since having Ledger, even like, I don't know, like some people might think is crazy. Like there's things that like I am trying to sort through, but once again, like things that I haven't voiced on this podcast and probably won't, but there's plenty of reasons as to why everybody, like something I learned in psychology in college was that like nobody's actually irrational. Yeah. Everybody to themselves is a rational person. And because everybody's making decisions from a standpoint of the reasonings that they've come to believe and know through their own life experience. And so there's really no one size fits all for everything. And something that might freak you out, like might not freak somebody else out, or the way that somebody handles a situation. Like I was feeling so like not shameful, but maybe the other night, I was talking to somebody and we have like a mutual trip going on and we have babies around the same age. And she had said something about like, well, maybe like we could, find, a babysitter, like there, somebody knows somebody or whatever. And I thought for a minute, cause I was like, well, I would never leave my kids with, anybody. Like I almost sometimes like, for me, if you sit down and talk to me, I can tell you exactly why. I
was going to say, maybe the answer to this is get curious.
Yeah. And it's a lot of different reasons, but to me, they're all extremely valid. Yeah. But to somebody else, they could look at that and be like, whoa, that's like an extreme take on that. But sit down and talk to me for 20 minutes. And I think you'd be like, oh, that's actually kind of understandable.
Yeah. I could tell you horror stories because my mom, I love her. She had to work. My parents had to work for us to get by. I was left with a lot of different people. And a lot of different people hurt me in ways that have scarred my life forever. So when somebody would laugh at me, like, you haven't gone on a date and your husband, your kid's 18 months old. No, I haven't. And I'm not going to. Like, you can tell me whatever you want, but I have had experience that has traumatized me for life, that has altered the way that I parent to protect my children out of love. So I think...
that's not to say that that's not to say that you and I haven't at times been like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah. You can check on your friend.
Because we have, right? Yeah. In certain situations, like we're processing things back and forth with each other and it's like, whoa, like, are you okay? Because that doesn't sound like you.
Yeah.
And like those kind of things of like, that's what a friend is, like listening, but then also like, hey, that doesn't really sound like you. Is there something else going on? Like you did that to me recently about something not even related to kids, but I was like, hey, like, you know, and you were like, what, like, what's actually going on? And I was like,
wait a second.
oh yeah, like there probably is more going on, you know? And so I think getting curious is a really kind thing to do.
I got curious.
Yeah.
I didn't go home and like say, oh, well, Jesse's changing or whatever, whatever, you know. Yeah. I just said, hey, what is that?
Right.
Can you tell me more about it? So just go to your friend and say, I've noticed this in a loving way. Right. I've noticed you're super protective about your baby. I notice you don't leave your baby with anything. Can you tell me why? Yeah. I just want to know your heart. That's what you need to do. Yeah. Don't call her neurotic to her face, please. Yeah. Don't tell her she's neurotic. I know. Even if it seems unreasonable
it's
to
just
you.
Everything changes when you have a kid. Everything. And it triggers so many different things, good and bad. But
yeah, you'll be a good friend. I have confidence in you. You follow us. You're listening to our podcast. You're asking us a question. I have all the confidence that you're a good friend and you will just get curious and say what is actually going on. Because I think that one is a good thing to do as a person, but two, you might be able to help her through some of that, because if it is something
you want to know, it's not helpful too. Like in that situation is like, sometimes I've gotten this like feeling that people probably don't understand why I do the things that I do, but they don't ask me about it. They just like passively talk about why they do the opposite. Yes. And that is really hard for me. Like to be like, okay, well, let me tell you about all the reasons that I like love to leave my kids, or I love to like pump, or I love to whatever. Yeah. Like if they know specifically, like for instance, like I can't pump, my body doesn't let me for whatever reason. Like, I don't know. That's not helpful to process passively like that. The opposite of what you're trying to it's confusing. It's hurtful. It's going to, you know, put further wedges into the relationship. And there's just like such a kind and compassionate way to like address that. And also like, it's just not your life and it's not your kid, you know? And so just like hold that for what it is too. Yeah. Your friend shouldn't be the same after they have a baby. No. You know, and that should be like a beautiful journey that you're like doing alongside one another. Yeah.
I agree. Recommendations for constipation in infant.
Prune juice for an immediate fix.
Yes. Yes.
But that's just probably for more of an emergent, like, or just you need to get it out.
Eating a prune, like you can get dehydrated. Yeah. Prunes, I do that when I'm pregnant. Getting them adjusted. If you have a chiropractor you love and trust, Brady has had so many babies just like literally poop right after an adjustment. And he's helped a lot of babies who like I have a friend, well, she's a friend because she was a patient, but her baby wasn't pooping for days at a time. And this was her whole life, and then started getting regular adjusted. And now she poops just like every other kid. So that could be it. That's not always it. Could be it. You could try an infant probiotic.
Suppositories.
Yes. And we like Mary Ruth.
That's the thing though, like suppositories and prune is more like, let's fix the problem. It's a symptom It's not reliever. Actually like fixing the problem, if you know what I mean. Yes. Like it's like, let's get this out and relieve the baby, but that's not getting to the root cause. So if you're like, my baby's uncomfortable, we need to go to sleep, like go buy a suppository, go get some prunes to whatever extent they can ingest them. But the root issue is that something's off with their nutrient intake or their nervous system or their gut microbiome. Probably.
Yep. So heal the
gut. Or they're dehydrated.
Get them checked for subluxation. Check their diet, hydration levels,
activity levels.
Yes. Because like, what do you do for yourself when you're constipated?
Yeah, you go on a run.
Yeah. You get up and you walk around, or you know. Say, oh, I ate way too much ice cream last night or whatever it is. Right. If cheese is stopping you up, maybe we shouldn't eat so much cheese. Yeah. So whatever it is. How do you get your child to go to bed earlier? Sleep's great once asleep, but bedtime is 10 o'clock.
I have no advice because bedtime is 9:30 where we are at, unless we don't do naps.
Bedtime for Noah, we've always done 7:30 because like my kid is like, you know, when it's 7:35, he's tired. He's very tired. And no matter what time Noah goes to bed, he is up at the same time every day. So we've always done.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes. We've always done 7:30
about things.
But he's not always tired at 7:30. So sometimes we just sit in bed with him and scratch his back until he falls asleep. So, but I would say if you're wanting your child to go to bed earlier, wake them up earlier. If you're wanting your child to go to bed at 8 o'clock, you need to be waking them up at like 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m., and you need to be making sure that they have a ton of activity. They need to be mostly playing. I would say like 2 or 3 hours before bedtime, no screens. If this is a problem, like you're actively trying to get them to go to bed earlier, we're not doing TV. We're doing like dim light in the house. I'm very big on lamps. If you come into my house, my entire house is lit by lamps. We never turn on the big light. So, and I'm always using soft yellow light. So once it starts getting dark, either my house gets dark with the light outside or I have a couple of lamps on.
I love that. Supporting the circadian rhythm.
You can also get like red light lamps. That can also help. And then, I would also say just making sure they're getting like enough protein in the day and that their iron levels are good is what we've been experimenting with, because recently Noah's had like some outbursts of anger, which is not my son. And he's also like been fighting us at bedtime. Bedtime comes around and he's like, no, I'm not going in my room, which is so bizarre because Noah usually loves bedtime. Bedtime's like fun. It's a thing we do at 7:30 every night and it's a blast. And I have bought him some like beef liver gummies that I found on Amazon that are lemon flavored that are great for him. And honestly, that went away within a week. And we're having, outbursts during the day, nearly gone. Bedtime, totally fine. Also, it's just maybe ask your kid what's going on. Why aren't you tired right now? Why are you fighting sleep? Why are you awake right now? Because sometimes it might just be, I need to talk to you. I need some extra time with you. I need to cuddle.
Yeah, like Sunny had a hard time when we moved into our new house because her bedroom was too far away from ours.
Yes.
And that was really sweet. So she sleeps on a little crib mattress, like in our bedroom, like by the door. You know, when you walk in the door and there's that indent in the wall, her little crib mattress is right there. And we're just like taking it in strides. But we could have just been like not asking her that and just been annoyed. Like, why aren't you sleeping in your bed? You always sleep in your bed. Like,
this is what I always come back to because I'm always the one with more compassion, I feel like, as a woman.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
So I'm always telling Brady this, like, what if you weren't tired at your what if every night you usually go to bed at 9 o'clock, but tonight you're not tired at 9 o'clock? What would you do? We would probably turn on a show. We would talk. We would cuddle. You'd scroll on your phone or listen to an audiobook.
Or like you're having a hard time falling asleep. You're like, can you rub my back for a little while? Yes. Can you go make me some tea? Like, you know comfort. How to communicate what you need, but they don't.
They don't. So yes, I would say check the things because that is usually what I do with Noah if something is awry at bedtime, because bedtime's usually fine.
Sunny usually likes to have like a debrief chit chat before bed. Like it's her mind. I think if anything, like her mind is just so busy, like with all these thoughts that she just needs to get out.
And when we moved into this house, we kept Noah in his crib until he was 3.5. So he was in a crib for a really long time. When we moved, right before we moved into this house, we took the bars off of his bed. And then when we moved in this house, we gave him a queen size bed and it's like really low to the ground, whatever. He's 4, he's fine. And we put toys in his room for the first time. So he would come out and he would say, Mom, I'm not tired. I'd be like, okay, well, you want to play? You got all these toys now in your room. And he would play, and it blew my mind every time because this is a kid that I co-slept with for a year. And then after I co-slept, I stayed with him in his room until he was asleep, sometimes for 2.5 hours until he fell asleep, for years. And here we are at 4 years old, moving into this brand new house. And he would say, okay, I'll just go play. And he would get some cars out. He would turn his light on. I would come into his room to his light off, toys everywhere, but he's just passed out in his bed. What? So like I learned he did very well with a little bit of extra freedom, with more choices. Totally.
And you, like you said, you know, when you're just like, oh, I'm like kind of tired, but also like not that tired. And you turn on a show for like 10 minutes and you're like, fine, I'm tired now. Like, it's just, but if someone were to just be like, no show, go to sleep. You're like, okay, but now I'm just like, you know, I don't know.
And this person like didn't really say any of this. She just said, my kid goes to bed at 10, but I would just say like, we put weird expectations on our kids to be the same every single day because that makes our lives easier. But are we the same every single day?
And I like, honestly, I just like plan ahead. Like if it's a night where I foresee it would be very helpful for Sunny to go to bed earlier, we don't do an afternoon nap. Like as best as I can.
Oh yes. Are you napping?
We won't do an afternoon. So especially when you're at that like 3.5, 4-year-old mark,
on the verge
and sometimes
of dropping.
it's like sometimes we do a nap, sometimes we don't, and you know the difference is like a 7 p.m. bedtime or even 6 p.m. bedtime versus like a 10 or 11 p.m. bedtime. You know, and so it just depends. Like I'll look at our day and I'll be like, oh, it actually would be so nice for Chase and I to have a day in home, or like, oh, I have plans with this friend or whatever. Like that would actually be so nice if she went to bed early tonight. We'll just skip the nap and stay at the park a little longer. Or it's like, well, we're actually gonna go out as a family tonight, and it'd be really nice if she wasn't tired, like, and she could rally till 10 p.m. Then we'll do the nap, you know. So kind of just like planning ahead, I think is really good. And prepping, like that's the other thing I found with Sunny. Like we used to just like play hard, have fun, and all this stuff, and then we'd all of a sudden Chase and I would look at the clock and we'd be like, it's way too late, you need to be in bed, what are we doing? And then we're like, let's go upstairs and get ready for bed. And now it's like all these steps put in place. So it's like, okay, we're going to make sure we have a full dinner. We sit down and we're eating till we're full, right? For her. And then we're going to either do a shower or bath if she needs one. And get all of her clothes, like brush her hair, put all her lotion on, brush her teeth, like get her fully ready for bed. Start the bedtime process just like so much earlier than you think you need to. Read the book, say the prayers, tell the stories, whatever. And then assess, because I just feel like sometimes, like at least my kids, like they don't get crabby when they get tired. They get crazy. Yeah. So it looks like they're not tired. It looks like they're having the best time ever, right? But it's like if you know them well enough, you know, like that's overtired. Like we're just really exhausted right now. But they're not like crying, so people don't really believe you. They're like, oh, they're fine. I'm like, no, they're not fine. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. I just feel like for me, being a little bit more like preemptive about everything has been a lot more helpful. When I was with Noah, like my first time mom situation with Noah, bedtime stressed me out. It was always my trigger because I was not extended grace at bedtime. Like we were hit if we were awake past a certain time type thing. And berated and yelled at. Sad. So like it always stressed me out because going through therapy, I learned if my little sister's crying, one of us is going to get hit. Don't cry. So when Noah would cry at bedtime, I would have a fight or flight reaction. Cortisol would be so high. And then it was just bouncing back and forth with him. And that's when we hired the sleep consultant. No, we hired her before, but that's when I started like going back to the things she said. And bedtime starts when they wake up. Like truly, if you are trying to get your kid to do a certain thing at bedtime, which I was because I needed it while I was going through therapy, I needed bedtime to be smooth. And like thinking about it, that time in my life stresses me out. He is not sleeping past 7 a.m. It might be 7:10 and he's like still snoozing. I'm getting him out of bed. And everything he eats during the day is going to be protein heavy. He's eating eggs for breakfast or yogurt, like a full fat, nice yogurt. He is having some sort of meat for lunch, supported with like a fruit or something. And then for dinner, we're having a meat heavy and vitamin C heavy dinner so that he can have all of the iron and protein that he needs in the day. And then we were doing the routine things. Routine was very big. Like your kids need to, just the same way you have a routine. I feed my sourdough. I take my supplements. I go upstairs. I do my 10-minute face routine. While I'm listening to my audiobook. My body needs time to understand it's time for bed. Same thing with your kid. Have a routine. 15 minutes. We come upstairs. We walk upstairs and give Noah choices. So when he was doing the toddler thing, it was like, do you want to ride a train upstairs or an airplane? Because daddy would either drive you like a train or he'd fly you in the air like an airplane. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to do this or that? And let them choose. Getting up the stairs, getting in pajamas, toothbrush, 2 books, 2 scratches. He still does that. I want 2 books, 2 scratches, same song. Just do the routine thing and then lay down in bed with them and see how they're doing. Just the same thing you said. But like it really does start during the day. Did they get enough activity? Did they see too much blue light in the day? Did they get enough protein? And sunshine. And sunshine, yeah. Were they outside? Winter, bedtime is always harder in the winter. So much. They're always up later in the winter. Yeah, and they watch more shows in the winter and they eat more crap in the winter. Yeah. Summer, hopefully bedtime is a breeze. Yeah. But also, what you said about removing naps. If your kid isn't going to bed until way late, they might be just hitting their sleep quota earlier than you want them to. That could be it. You can also hire a sleep consultant. I've sent a few people over to Katie, the Not So Tired Toddler, and everyone. Did you know she was an ER nurse? No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't either.
But everybody loves her.
She's awesome.
Everybody is giving me great feedback because I've been messaging them like, give me feedback because I haven't personally
When
used
is she coming to Denver?
August, she said.
Okay.
Sometime in August, we need to check that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we have enough time for another question.
Yeah, it's okay.
Because we're at an hour. But let me see. Did we get through? I think we got about halfway through. Yeah, I think we got almost exactly halfway through.
Yeah, we could do another one.
So we can do a part 2 because these are fun. Yeah.
Cool.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No. Thank you guys for being... Actually, can I just end with like a fun story?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we've been like really trying to like foster and teach Sunny like how to hear from the Lord herself, because I just feel like that I will like die on that hill of like, if you teach your kids how to hear from the Lord and what Satan's voice sounds like versus what God's voice sounds like, I just feel like you've won at parenting. Yeah. Like, because you're setting them up with tools like to go on for life. So the other night I was like doing my workout and Chase and Sunny were playing Legos, and I don't know the intricacies of what happened, but Sunny got really upset with Chase. And they were like butting heads. She gets really mad when he wants to be like crazy physically, and she just wants to like play an intricate game, you know, like they're trying to connect on different levels, and she gets really mad. So he just kept pushing the buttons, you know, and she was getting really, really upset. And she, you know, like she gets on her bed and she goes, "I'm going to bed angry at you, Dad." Like she was really upset.
Sad.
And like she gets splotchy, like, she gets a splotchy forehead. It always has since she was a baby. When she gets really upset, she was splotchy forehead. Like she was she was beside herself. So I end my workout because I'm like, I could tell she's like beyond just like peeved. She's like mad. I go in there. And I'm like, you know, like rubbing her head and like trying to get her to take deep breaths and all this stuff. And I'm like, I know you're really upset, babe, but like, and cause Chase, like when Sunny goes, "I'm going to bed angry at you, Dad," Chase goes, "Okay, like that'll just make your heart bitter." and Sunny goes, "Fine, I'll go to bed angry and my heart will be better." And I was like, no, that's not exactly how it goes. But I was like, okay, babe, I'm going to go take a shower. I really want you to try to talk to the Lord right now. Talk to him and see what he has to say about all this. You know, I want you to let me know what he says. And I like go around the corner to my shower, and I see her fold her hands, and she's like whispering, you know, like, and I hear her say, "Thank you so much for this house." And that's like all I kind of caught. But then I get in the shower, I come out, and she goes, "Yeah, he spoke to me." And I'm like, "What did he say, babe?" And she was like, "Well, he reminded me of all of his promises." And I'm like, "What are his promises?" And she goes, "Oh, just silly things." And I'm like what? And she was like how Daddy does hide and go seek with me, and how he plays Legos with me, and how he tells me he loves me. And she rattles off like 10 different things. And I was like, what God just did is he reminded you of how much your dad loves you. And he showed you all of these scenarios in which you felt genuinely loved by him. And he doesn't want you to go to bed angry at your dad. And this girl had gone from like fuming, angry, right, to like joyful, giggling, like wanted to run downstairs to give him a hug, to tell him that she loves him. And I just was like, I don't know. It was just like a really encouraging moment to me, because I love the fact that I don't have to parent her. Like that Chase and I are the only ones parenting her, and that like the Lord is like so after our children's hearts, and that he can speak to them, and that he can mend situations that we have like no idea how to mend. And I don't know, it just like brought me a lot of comfort this week. So
I love that. Cute.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Stupid camera turned off again.
Oh no.